welcome to the podcast.
Morning, thank you. I am so excited to talk with you today.
I know. I am such a massive fan of you, and I have been for so long. And I've done some readings for you, which makes me just love you more, being able to be in your energy. But before we sort of jump into all the questions I have for you, can you just tell everyone about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Courtney Ugle. I'm a Ballardong Wardandi Noongar woman from Western Australia, but I currently live in Melbourne, in Naarm, where it's freezing cold. I am the founder of my own social enterprise, and I advocate for domestic violence, victims and survivors, and I also play footy.
I love it. Awesome. You are the jack of all trades. I feel like you do so many different things, but I like that for you. I like that you're obviously staying true to who you are and advocating for people who are much like you. But I kind of want to get into your story. So you have a very traumatic, I guess I could say, situation, upbringing, and I want to kind of go into like your story if you're happy to share it and about how you even got into this domestic violence space because of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't think that, the life that I was born into would lead me to where I am today. I suppose you could say, I was born into this environment where family domestic violence was normalized and it wasn't isolated, just say in our home. It was kind of happening everywhere. Like everyone knew of what was kind of going on in people's homes, but no one necessarily like talked about it. Um, and I'm very mindful of not sharing stories that aren't mine because I think that's really important. But I will say that this was a space that I was born into, and for a lot of my time, you do start to make up your own perspectives and thoughts, and you almost start to think, is this the way love is supposed to be? Is this the way families are meant to show their love to one another? And so, growing up, my mum was on the receiving end of every type of abuse: physical, mental, emotional, verbal, financial. And, I didn't know those big words back then. Like, I didn't know what that meant. All I knew is that, like my mum would be, physically hurt a lot of the time, and, it happened in front of us. And it was so fucking scary. Like, it was
Mm.
what do you do as a young kid seeing that happen? You can't do anything but scream and shout and beg him to stop. um and so for a lot of my life, mum was someone who I was like, I didn't necessarily want to be like, because I knew that that was wrong and I didn't like it. But I remember saying to myself that I'm not gonna be that, because unfortunately what came with a lot of this abuse was mum's drug and alcohol addiction. I wouldn't say alcohol addiction, more so drug addiction. And only as an adult do I understand that now, that that was to mask a lot of her pain, her trauma, and to get her through, like, the darkest times of her life. So for so long, she was somebody that I didn't want to be like. And I can openly admit that it took me a little while to come to that. But, as I've gotten older, like, I'm so proud to be that woman's daughter. Like, I'm so proud that she is my mum, and I think as the years had gone on, I was able to have a bit of a greater understanding of it. But ultimately, abuse ended up, taking my mum's life. She was murdered in 2016 by her partner at the time. And it's so crazy to me because you think that, your home is meant to be the safest place in the world, but her life was taken from her in her own home. And I remember that day so clearly because it was the worst day of my life. I'm a 19-year-old girl who's just been told her mother's been murdered. Like, where do you go from there? What do you do with that? Like, you don't see no way out. You don't see a future. You don't see these, the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm 19. And even before all of this, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but even at 11, when I was 11, my dad actually lost his life. So early on in my childhood, we experienced, grief, trauma, the loss of a parent. We didn't really know what that meant. We just knew we didn't have our dad anymore. And I've lived longer without my dad than I have with him. And only until I became an adult could I mourn the loss of my dad, because I didn't really understand it, back then. But then, when we lost mum at 19, so being 19 years old and not having both of my parents, I'm sure anybody wouldn't have blamed me if I went completely off the rails and let this consume me, because again, you're 19 years old. Where the fuck do you go? Like, what do you do after that? Um, and we didn't come from money. We didn't inherit any money from mum or dad or anything like that. And the way that we were able to put a funeral on for our mum was through a GoFundMe page that my football clubs had started up for us. And even in the worst times of our lives, people still showed love, grace, compassion, and it was this little reminder that there was some good in the world, despite it being overshadowed by just pure darkness, sadness, trauma, evil. There was still that little glimpse of good, and I think that's something that I really honed in on, because I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to let this define me in a negative way. Um, and 18 months later, he actually pleaded not guilty. So we went to a murder trial, my mum's murder trial, right? Like, saying that out loud is wild to me, because I still can't believe that that happened to us. Like, this is the type of stuff that you see on TV, you see on the news. You don't think that it's going to happen to you, but we're just a small Noongar family from Bunbury, and this was our reality. It was a 2-week long trial, and he was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. And some people understand this and some people won't, but I don't hate this man, because hating him is not going to bring my mum back. Hating him was only going to continue to take from me, and I just refused to let that happen. And so when I made that promise to myself that I wasn't going to let this define me in a negative way, I really do feel like so many doors opened up for me. And I'm not saying that my way of healing was the right way, but it was just what I decided to do. And once I made that conscious choice and got on the plane and moved to Melbourne with no money, 2 suitcases, and an opportunity to come play footy for Bombers, my whole world opened up. And, Bombers thought they were giving me an opportunity to come play footy, but it was an opportunity to come and change my life. And that girl who got on the plane 7 years ago just would not believe the life that we live now, that I live now. And so I suppose all the work that I'm doing today has been fueled from my own personal experience, and to keep my mum and dad's name and dignity alive. And it's all into hope that, people don't lose their loved ones the way that I have lost mine. And I suppose I look at the glass half full. I try to see good in everything, and it's not that I've moved on with my life. I've just moved forward, because this is a big part of my life. These tragedies that I faced have shaped who I have become as a young woman today. I don't want to erase what's happened, because that would never be possible, and I don't forgive this man, but I just decided that I wanted to move forward and live life to the best that I can, and enjoy what life has to offer.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Bloody hell. I feel like even just listening to that, I've gone through like a wave of emotions. Even if people watch this back, you can probably see my face. I'm like, I feel like I'm going to cry. I feel like I'm going to get angry, all the things, because I just cannot believe that this has even happened in your life. Like you said, this is like TV shit. This is like Jerry Springer crap that people are like, this isn't real. Like, it's insane. But to see you sitting here being such a strong woman who is so inspiring, and I love following you. I think what you've done with what you've been dealt with is amazing, and yeah, I love you. I think you're amazing. But I actually want to say something, because I've kind of seen this a little bit in your advocacy work, and you go out there and you share your story, and I can kind of feel a little bit of like the backlash that you might get from being so honest and so raw and sharing your angle. How
Yeah.
do you deal with people who are not so in favor of you talking about this so openly? How have you come to terms with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard, because you're essentially talking about things that our generation or previous generations have kind of, disregarded or just shoved under the rug, and like, we don't talk about that. So you're essentially talking about things that people have denied or too ashamed to talk about, or didn't feel comfortable or safe to talk about, right? And I think I often say, like, trauma ran in my family until it ran into me. And I always say that this is not to bring shame to my family, to my community, to my mum and dad. Like it's not. It's to talk about the real life shit that goes on and that happens so often in our homes and in our communities. And I suppose when I started this, I didn't necessarily think about how it would make others feel, because in my mind I thought it was like the right thing to do. Like, this is my story. I want to create change. I want to talk about it. Um, so I didn't think that I was upsetting anybody, but as I'm sure you know, it definitely has. And I think that comes from a place of, shame, guilt, uncomfortable, being really uncomfortable. But again, like, it's not to bring shame even to them or to anybody. Um, I don't feel any ill feelings towards anybody, but this is my story. This is my truth. And I think once I hone in on that and still move through this space with grace and have that sensitivity for them, but reality is, like, this isn't about them.
Mm.
This is about me and what I've decided to do with my trauma and the fact of, losing my parents in these really extreme circumstances. This is what I chose to do. And I chose to heal and move forward so that my future kids, my nieces and nephews, don't go through the world thinking that, like, it's not okay to talk about these things that are affecting us, because we didn't grow up with the environment where we sat down and talked about feelings. Like, that wasn't it. Um, and I'm not going to lie, like, it did hit me really hard, because again, like, I was doing this with grace and not thinking that, yeah, I would get some of the backlash that I have. But as long as I stay true to who I am, and I do it with grace and respect, without kind of bending my own morals and what I'm trying to do, I think that I will be all right. Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. And I think that it's important too. And this isn't just for people who are talking about domestic violence in the community, it's people talking about all things taboo, all
Mhm.
things that we don't normally talk about. Like, even I hear all the time, thank God you talk about complicated family dynamics, and that I'm not afraid to talk about the things that I've been through that people don't discuss, because then people feel less alone. And hopefully, then people do something about it. Like,
Yeah.
what do you say to people when they say, what can I do to help in this domestic violence space? Like, if they know someone's going through it, or like, what's your advice so that we can do more?
Yeah. I mean, like, we just saw in Queensland that coercive control is now a criminal offence under Hannah's Law, right? So when people think about domestic violence and abuse, they obviously automatically go to physical, right?
Mm.
And when you can see it physically on someone, that's kind of like the kickstart of, like, asking questions, like, oh shit, like, are you okay? What can I? But that's just one form of abuse. We see the way that manipulation and control drives abuse. That's what this is all about, right? I know this now, given the work that I'm doing. I didn't know this back then. And I
Mm.
don't expect anybody, like, how can we expect anybody to make changes if they don't know what is happening to them, right?
Mm.
And so I think the biggest thing, for people to help is to really keep an open heart and open mind, and really talk to those people and ask questions, but just let them talk. Let them talk, because a lot of the time we might form our own opinions on what we think is the right thing to do. A lot of the time people don't want to leave their partners. They just want the violence to stop. They just want the abuse to stop. And it's very complex in the sense where, how can someone on the outside understand what that person is going through? So I think it's really important that one is not gonna fix all, and it's not easy, as in, like, well, you should just leave, or like, if he's hurting you that bad, why don't you do something about it? There's so many layers to it, and so many things that um can really help someone's experience, just by having an open heart, open mind, and being there for them. Like, it's okay, like, yeah, okay, social media is great. We can start sharing, we can get the messaging out there, we can do all of that. But this can be happening to people that you see every single day, and you might not know it. And that's why Waangkiny exists. Waangkiny means talking in my language. And the more we talk to each other, the more we provide those safe spaces where, if you do ask someone how they're going, and they're not going to open up unless they feel safe, right? People genuinely are intuitive. They know when it's just hey, how you going? Or like, hey, how you going? Like, is there anything you want to talk about? Like, people can feel it in their gut when it's genuine or when it's just a, tick a box type thing.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, there are so many changes that need to be made from a government level. I don't really tap into that space a whole lot because I do the work on the ground. That's where I feel like I do my best work. And there are so many incredible people doing work up at that level. And we all are just tiny speckles trying to create change, right? But we need more. We need more of these tiny speckles than we need them to stand alongside us and to do this work. But I think, the biggest thing that people can do is really just hold grace and hold space for people, because it's probably happening to the people that have the white picket fence and are dressed the part and speak really well and looks, like violence does not discriminate. It can happen to anybody from any race, from any cultural background. Like Aboriginal women, we are 33 times more likely to be hospitalized as a result of family domestic violence, and we are 11 times more likely to be killed as a result. So, yes, those stats are fucked, right? Like, we are so marginalized in that space, along with so many other factors, our health, incarceration rates, suicide rates. But this is not a cultural issue. This is a societal issue. This is
Mhm.
a societal issue, and it affects everybody. Everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I even have people that I know of who I never would have thought this
Mm.
was the case. And it's hard because you sit there, you're like, what am I supposed to say to you? Like, and they feel trapped. It's like I can't do this, I can't do that. I won't be able to get out. I don't have money, or I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to react even worse, and they just feel stuck.
But that's
So,
that's the whole point of the perpetrator. That's what they are trying to do. So
mm,
by that woman feeling not in control, have no financial stability, have no access to finances, that is what the perpetrator has wanted the entire time, right?
mm,
And whilst that person may not be physically abused, the financial abuse, the emotional, the manipulation, that can kill you. Like that really can kill you, because just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not abuse. I had someone really close to me, go through her own experience with a lot of the manipulation, financial, emotional abuse, and she'd said to me like, "I wish you just bashed me instead, because this stuff is fucking killing me."
yeah.
So, and so that's my comment to the Hannah's Law, and where coercive control is now a criminal offense, because that can kill you just
Mm,
as much as physically being killed, like and it's I want to open up those conversations, because like I said, someone can look the part, come to work, be really great at work, maybe come in early, stay late, and you can kind of think, well, why do they want to be at work so much? Like, wouldn't they just want to go
mm,
home? Like, you don't know what they're going home to. So I think it's really important that we have these really open conversations, because it is more common than you think.
mm.
And that's the saddest part. That
Yeah.
is the saddest part.
I agree. And it's hard to hear. And I was shocked when this person told me. I was like, are you serious? Like, you would never even know at all because there isn't the physical abuse. It's
Yeah.
just not there. So you're like, oh, it must be all good. And it's not. And the control kills me. That you can't get out, you don't have no access to this. What if you do that? They're looking at the phone, they're tracking you. Like, it's terrible.
Which
No
is all
freedom.
coercive control, and like obviously when someone murders somebody, that's the extreme, that's the worst, right? But it doesn't just start there. Like, this is years of these build-ups of this controlling manipulation behavior.
Mm,
Um, and that they want to make you feel like you need them.
yeah.
That is the whole point of abuse, right? And it's so sad, because when you can now, the work that I'm in, right? So you say you're shocked, right, at when this
Mm,
person, unfortunately, I'm not. Even if the most
yeah.
popular person came to me and said that, I just wouldn't be surprised. I would be sad and it would be horrible, but I just wouldn't be surprised, because of the work that I'm in now and that I do, because it is so fucking common. And like, I often get messages of people saying thank you for the work that you do, like the advocacy that you do, because I think I can break it down in such a simple way. Like,
Mm,
I was really I went on this big podcast and it was so great, and I listened to it back, which I never do, and I probably will never listen to this one back. But I just don't listen to myself back. But for some reason I did this one, and I said to my sister, shit, like I felt like I could have explained that differently, like, be a bit more politically correct. And she was like, no, no, no. People love you because you're not reading policies and you're not talking about government change. Like you're talking about real life shit on the ground, things that are happening. She was like, no, like that's not why people come to you. And that's not why people like are drawn to your advocacy because it's not that. And so that really reminded me of like, okay, it doesn't have to be these big statements. It doesn't have to be all of that. There are people that do that and do a fucking great job at that. But what I am good at is just having those real life conversations, no big fancy words, just on the ground from the heart. And I think, yeah, I think that has created a space where people are like, fuck, yeah, okay, maybe this isn't what I'm experiencing at home. I know I don't feel good, but now that she's speaking about it like that, then maybe this isn't good. This isn't healthy. This isn't, am I safe? Um, and I think when I get those messages of people saying like, I love the way that you explain things and stuff, I think that, yeah, obviously makes me feel like I'm doing something right.
You definitely are. You're doing more than just something. You're doing a lot right. And I love it.
I'm trying.
I want to actually switch gears because I want to talk about your bravery in stepping into this full time. Because you were doing some other things, had other jobs, and now majority of your time, I believe, is linked to your business. So, what gave you the push, or how'd you find the courage? It's not easy.
Well, it was my parents that came through to you to tell me to do the push to do it. But I do remember speaking to you about this years ago, like 2 years ago, maybe. Um, And so when this all started, right, I never thought anyone would ever want to, like, why would I share my story, right? Like, what does that do for anybody? But I remember when mum had first moved from Bunbury to Perth to clean up her life, to be with her kids, to be with her grandbabies. Like we were all so excited and so proud of her for this, and it was not even 3 months of this version of mum that we got that we just yearned for so long because we always knew it existed, right? And I had a friend that worked in the ABC and he said, this is a beautiful news story. Like, do you want to capture this? And because I'm not camera shy, I was like, yeah, let's do this. And everyone agreed, even mum. And then obviously, her life got taken from her. And a couple months later, he came to me and said, do you want to share this story even, after what's happened? And after speaking with my family, we decided like, yeah, we still will. And I haven't stopped, right? So I never knew the platform that could come from this, or because you don't do it for a platform. You don't share your story thinking that you're going to get a platform. You just share it because you think, oh, maybe someone will benefit from hearing this, right?
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so then I started to, get these little gigs here and there, and I'm like, what the hell? Someone wants to pay me like $500 to share my story. Like that is insane. Like, what the hell? Anyway, so it kind of grew. People started talking, but I'm working full time, so I'm doing these kind of, like, oh, I'm gonna be late to work today, I'm not feeling too well, or whatever I was doing. And then it started picking up. So then I took the risk of leaving my full-time job to work part-time for university and part-time for Waangkiny. But at this stage, Waangkiny, the name didn't exist. And I was like, oh my God, this is really cool. Like I'm building some traction. And then I was working, then I left that job and I went and worked for JIRA, which is an Aboriginal Family Legal Service. And they were my first job that I had when I was here in Melbourne. And so for them to welcome me back with open arms was so beautiful. But they were delivering, I was in charge of delivering the Young Love program, right, which is the early intervention and prevention workshop for Aboriginal girls across Victoria. Love that program. That is, I wish I had that program when I was young. But in all this, I started gaining a bit more traction with marketing, and it was coming and to the point where I had to say no to some things because I couldn't possibly call in sick again, to go and deliver a keynote somewhere. And so I'm like, oh my God, like I really want this, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Then Waangkiny, the name came up and I got these little business cards and I was like, oh my God, like, is this happening? Like, what is, like, this is crazy. And I remember specifically the moment that I knew that I had to resign from there to go into full time. So we'd actually lost a coworker at JIRA, and I remember that being just so terrible, and it was out of the blue. And I remember driving to her funeral and I was sitting there and I remember just thinking that can be any one of us at any time. Like we don't know when our time is up.
Mm.
And I remember driving home thinking, nah, I've got to do this. Like I've got to do this because I don't want to go another year thinking, oh, I should have left. I should have gone all in. But that was a kickstart. That was like, no, I need to. And I remember I had the next day I'd actually had a young love delivery in Bendigo and the sun was out. I kept seeing 111 everywhere. You know, me spiritual. I'm like 111. No, that's my angels talking to me. Like, do it, do it, do it. The sun was out and it was a great workshop. And I remember driving back into the office that day and I just messaged my manager and said, hey, can we have a chat? And I got in and I resigned on the spot and just said, like I need to do this. There's something in me telling me I need to do this. And I was so scared because I had no financial backing. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have anything other than a pure desire to want to do this work. And I believed in my mission so much that I was like, someone has to believe in me, right? And so I remember walking out smiling because I just felt this weight of the world lifted off my shoulder. And I was welcomed with open arms and I was sent off with hugs and loves and kisses. And I was really well respected in that case. Anyway, so Thursday, the next day, I went to the beach to celebrate, and I got an email from my manager of this request, and it was for one of the highest paid opportunities that I've ever gotten. And I just stood there and cried because I'm like, I think I'm gonna be all right. I think I'm gonna be okay. And yeah, and now today I obviously work full time for Waangkiny. I call myself the CEO, but it's just me that works for Waangkiny, so that's pretty funny, but. I still really don't know what I'm doing, but I know my mission and I know the impact that these conversations can have. And I've just been building and building and been meeting so many people along the way that are helping me. Um, and I just can't believe that I'm here. Like, and because I remember saying to you, like, oh my God, I want to, but what the hell? Like, how am I going to pay my bills? Like, how's this going to happen? And I think I knew the backing from mum and dad, like obviously being a very spiritual person, like I just felt it to my core that I needed to do this. And things have been so just beautiful, and scary and terrifying and all of those things, but I couldn't see myself doing anything different.
Yeah. And I kind of like the fact that you don't know where you're going. I think that that's terrifying, but it's also kind of cool. I live the same way. I'm like, I'm giving it up to the spirits. I'm like, if you guys still want me to do this, I will deliver that you provide.
Yeah, yeah. And like there'll be months where, well, like this month, for example, like for the first 3 weeks of um May just gone, like I was like, oh shit, there's not much work coming in. And then all of a sudden, like I am just jam-packed with work. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, we're okay. And I'm like,
Yeah.
the universe is telling me, like, just chill out. Like you're gonna be
Mhm.
fine. And I'm the biggest believer in that. When we had to tidy mum's house up, she'd left this handwritten quote by mum, and it says, sometimes when things are falling apart, they may actually be falling into place.
Mm.
And so even when I think the world is against me and things aren't going my way, like I always fall back onto that because like it just always works out for me. It does. And it may take a little longer. I might have a little mental breakdown in that moment, but somehow it always just works out. And you just have to trust that. And being a very spiritual person yourself, like
Yeah.
you know that it will.
Hmm.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow. Is Cat 4. Go across to the limeglow.com and buy some of our products. Meow.
And it does,
It does.
truly. You don't know how. I've given up on the knowing. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I know it will, and it'll keep
Yeah.
going. So I'm
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
glad you trusted yourself and your instincts, and you got all your signs, all your angel numbers, all the things. And they know what it's going to take to give you that push too. So
Mm.
it's no coincidence as to everything that unfolded before you to give you that bravery to make that call. So I'm so glad you did.
Oh, and like, and even, something just recently, like, popped up that really kind of broke me, like, to my core. And I'm just like, I've already fucking been through the ringer. Like, what more?
Mm.
What
Yeah.
more, can you give to me? Because I'm like, I've had enough. But now that I'm on the other side of that, I'm like, okay, I really feel that was put there for me to set me up for what's to come. And I think at the end of it, it's like, no, this is exactly what I need because I'm the biggest believer in like you think what you're trying to bring out a really weak version of me. You're trying to get me to really fall down. And I'm like, do people not know me that is the biggest driver? Like that like thank you, because that is going to be the reason why that will never happen. And you do it with grace and you move through the world with a pure heart. And when it's done with heart, no one can take that away from you, right? But when I'm done crying, I'm like, like you've just given me exactly what I needed, because now watch what will happen. And I just had to really, really rely on that. When things are falling apart, they may actually be falling into place. And now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, yep, okay, I'm ready. And you feel it, like you feel it, right? When your body and the universe is telling you you're ready for this next phase. So I'm excited to see what it is, because I don't really know what it is, but the knowing, we'll let it be, hey?
Yes, and you know what too? I think they're going to level you up. This is why. It's almost like, when you have those really down moments and then you go, all right, now I know the next step I need to take. Because the thing is with your business, I feel like I'm tapping into you like this is a reading.
Oh,
I feel
please
like
do.
I feel like with your business, you can't stay the same.
Mm,
You can't keep telling the same story over and over and over and over again forever. It needs to evolve. And it's
yeah.
not that your circumstances in the beginning change in any way, but the experiences you have along the way add to that story. Like now I've spoken to this person or I've been open to this, and that adds to what I'm going to tell everyone. So you're going to continue to evolve your story and your experiences based on what's in front of you every single day. So that's why I feel like they're throwing spanners in the works for you, because they're like, all right, you've got the momentum now. What's
Yeah.
next? What
Yeah.
else are you going to do now? So I think you're going to be just fine.
You know what? I really think so too. And there's some things like in the works behind, behind the scenes and stuff. And I mean, they all need to fall into place, but I do feel like you're right. Like, yes, I love my keynotes. I love what I can share, but I don't want to do that forever. And you're right. Like, I can't just keep telling the same story. And there's the next evolution of Waangkiny, hopefully I
Yeah.
can find some funding to pay someone to help, because it really is just me. But I believe that'll all come. Like I truly do. And I think you know it, spirit know it, mum and dad know it, and the rest of the world know it. But you're exactly right. Like things spanners in the work. I think this is the biggest reason as to why I will end up doing all of that, because of these things. Like you're right, and you know it. I
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah, and it's because you're asking for more. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
what's next? I want more. I want more. You want to be more financially secure to be able to continue to do this. So they're like, all right, well, you got your foundation. Now let's throw all these other things into the mix so that you have multiple sources of income. And it's not all about money, but you have to live. Like that's
Right.
human. So I like this for you. I think that your parents know what they're doing. And I
Yeah.
also want to touch on your parents, because obviously they're a massive part of who you are and why you do what you do. And I want to know how you connect with them. What signs do they send you? Like, I know I see some of the things you put up about your mum's messages flying up to you when
Oh,
you need them. Like, tell everyone.
I'm telling you, like, so I mentioned earlier that, like, young, like when I was younger, she was someone that I was like, I don't want to be like that. I didn't understand the complexities and the trauma and the hurt, but like, I am so much of my mum, and I just am so proud, like, to be her daughter. Now I'm going to get emotional.
Aw.
Like, mum always says, like, mum would be the first person to admit that she won't win Mother of the Year award. Like, she knows that, right? I know that. But, like, we are good kids. We are kind human beings. Like, we love hard. We open our homes. We share. And, like, we don't just develop those things all on our own. Like, that is because mum modeled that despite the darkness that she endured. Like, she did something right, and she always would say, like, I must have done something right because I got good kids. I've got good kids. And there was never a time where mum's love was questioned for us. And any given moment, she would always say how proud she was of us. We could do the bare minimum and she would be so proud. Like, I remember one time my older sister was teaching me how to make spaghetti bolognese, and she'd written on Facebook, like, so proud. Like, big sister's teaching little sister how to cook, like the bare minimum, right? And so much of who I am today is because of my mum. And I'm so, like, I just am so thankful, and I would not change it for the world. And I know that if mum had her time again, maybe things could have been different, but a lot of that was not my mum's fault.
Mm.
But she comes into to me in so many different forms, like the lights. Like she will fuck around with the lights all the time, and it's to the point where it's in front of people as well. So I know I'm not going cuckoo. Like it is
Yeah.
actually mum sending these signs. Like I'll say to her, like, all right, mum, like if you're here today, like show me this. And I remember saying to her one time, like, mum, like I'm sick of the lights. Show me something else, right? Show me something else because okay, and then I'll see number plates where it's like Jojo or JW or like mum's initials everywhere. Like it just is so crazy to me that like every time it happens, I just smile because I'm like, no, no, she's here and I know she is. It doesn't take away the fact that like fuck, I wish she was here, like
Yeah.
but she's proud that my sister's teaching me how to make fucking food. Like I couldn't imagine what she would be thinking about, the woman that I've become today because of her.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny? Like I don't necessarily get a lot of dad through, but every time I connect with you, dad is the one that comes through
I
you
know.
because I feel like I don't know, I'm so connected to mum that
Mm.
that I'm like maybe dad's been like, hello, like, I'm here too, but only
I
when
know.
with you is when dad comes through. But I feel him and I feel him a lot. And I know that like especially in the messages, mum will say like, I wish your dad was here to witness how awesome like you really are. And despite mum and dad, separating, when I was quite young, like mum never spoke ill of dad. And I never heard dad speak ill of mum, like that I wish that I got to experience their love. I wish that. And I am reminded every day that I did come from love, and that's what I feel carries me through, like yeah. But the messages from mum that pop up at the most like perfect time, I just like I know she's here. I know she's right here with me, and so is dad, but like it doesn't make it any easier, but I can smile and laugh at these when the lights are flickering, when she comes up on the phone, when like I smell her, or when I even say things that I'm like, oh my God, I am my mother. Like that is something that my mum said, you know. But I
Yeah.
look, I look for it. I look for it, and yeah, I think they come to me at the right time.
I agree. I think they do too. And I feel so honored that your dad must like me enough to come through when I channel for you.
Yeah, honestly, it is you.
I
Like
love it.
like mum will always comes through, but yeah, I feel like dad takes the show like when we
Mm.
connect, we've had our readings, which
Yeah.
is so nice because I felt guilty for so long. Like it's like I feel like I'm mourning mum more than I am dad, but I was 11 years old when dad passed,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know what grief was, like it just was like the absence of a father that you just, wish was there.
Mm.
But I wasn't able to grieve him, I think, until I became an adult. But obviously, mum, like that was, we were so close. Like, she was so close with all of us. And yeah, that it did feel like well, it was a big part of me that died when she died that day. So, like as a 19-year-old, that's you're you're taken up by the loss of your mum that at times it's like I almost forgot that dad had passed away too. And then you're like, oh fuck, no, I don't have a dad either. Like he's not
Yeah.
here on Earth's side. And so it's been really nice it's not even nice because what the fuck, but like to honor them both and to still feel that same love and connection for them both, even though there was a massive, gap of time that I had with mum and that I had with dad. It's been nice to feel them both beside me as I walk through life.
Yeah. And I think too that part of what they were here to do was to help you build this platform and live this best life. And maybe the silver lining, I guess, to them not being here, if there is any, is that they can help you do that. And they wouldn't have been able to put all these opportunities in front of your face and to have you be empowered the way that you are if they weren't over there. So,
Yeah,
I think they're doing their work from where it doesn't matter if they're here, they're there, they're anywhere, they're always going to show up for you.
yeah.
So,
And I honestly like I feel it to my core and like I know people like
mm,
yourself like you understand that, but I would not be able to do this work if I didn't feel like I had the backing and the blessing and the respect, because when I talk about this, when I share like I talk about some of the shit that we went through and, especially like with mum, with her addiction, we went with that food and power. We were asking our neighbors for, for food. obviously, you know, that doesn't really shine mum in the best light, but that was our reality. That was our truth. And mum will be the first person to say, like, yeah, like, fuck that. I wish it wasn't like that. But it's
Yeah.
not to bring shame, you know, it's not to bring shame. Like mum did her very best with what she had, you know, and I really hope people hone in on that because when I talk about dad, it's like dad was a countryman, you know, he played in a band with his brothers, he was a shearer. We never went without food on the table, right? So like like I have beautiful memories of dad, but then there was also so much in the background that happened with dad as well, you know? So it's like this is not to bring shame. And I feel like my parents know that. And that's why I feel like I do have the backing because this isn't about me. This is about breaking those cycles and opening up, you know, a new lens to the generation that'll come after us, that this shit that we grew up in is not normal. It is not normal. And I'm really proud to have that resilience and strength and the backing from mum and dad to be able to do this work.
Yeah, I love that. Well, before we go into the weird ass questions that Jade has made for you, how can people connect with you?
How can they connect with me?
Yeah.
Through, I mean, social media is a beautiful thing, right? Can be horrible as well at times, but um, I've got obviously my own Instagram platform, and then I've got Waangkiny's platform, which has built some momentum. Like I've got like 4,000 followers on there, which is like crazy to me because like that's just crazy. And I've got my website, which is up and running now, which is so cool. So I mean, I think if you literally can just type in my name, there's ways where you'll be able to contact me. But yeah, a lot of my work is done obviously over social media. You know, TikTok is so funny. Like I feel like that platform is so scary because
I
what
know.
like I can't believe it. It's like someone can be openly racist to me. Although like I think I called someone a frog and it was like you've crossed community guidelines and I was like they've literally just told me that I'm a bred out Aboriginal person. Like I'm like I don't get it. So I'm playing around with that platform, but yeah, I think the ability to contact me really is not that hard. I'm on social media, you know, through email, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I post a lot on Instagram, on marketing and the website. Um, yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'll put all your details in the show notes anyway, so you can just send me them and I'll put them up. But before we go, all right, this is actually really weird, this question. All right. If baked is spelt BAKED and pronounced baked, what the fuck is up with naked? Are we saying it wrong?
And this came from Jade.
It's,
She's the best. She's the best. Honestly, don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know. But that's how we all pronounce it, right? So who made that rule up?
I don't know.
Why has no one contested it? Other than Jade right now, but like someone said this is how oh my door just opened.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe your mum or dad has something to say about this.
Well, we'll wait and see, or maybe they might tell you and you can tell me, but door just opened.
Oh my
That like that doesn't scare me because I know that that's mum or dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, back to Jade. No, I have no idea.
I don't know either. It's super random.
Someone a long time ago said that that's how it is, and we've gone, yep, okay, no worries.
I know. We just go along. We're such sheep.
Aren't we?
All right. Your second question. Are chickpeas the child of a chick and pea, or are they adopted?
A chickpea is the child of a chickpea. I didn't think that these were going to be the questions. I had no idea, so I'm not prepared. That is funny, and I don't know how to answer that. But
Oh
surely they can't be adopted.
no, I don't reckon they're adopted.
I don't reckon they're adopted.
Nah. I think you got that right. Okay, your last question. True or false? Bobby did not, in fact, create the bobby pin.
False. I don't
So
know.
Bobby created the bobby pin. Just can't. I don't know how she comes up with this shit.
Nah, she's the best. I love her humor. I love it. I love when you guys post and take the piss out of each other.
Oh
That's so
gosh.
funny. I did not think that those were going to be the questions that,
Yeah. You can't prepare for this shit. You just can't.
and that's what I love. Good on her. I feel embarrassed that I didn't have anything funny to come back, but I'm not a funny person. I don't think.
You are, of course you are. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I have absolutely loved chatting to you.
No, and I love chatting and connecting with you. We talk on and off, and we have been for years. And I've loved the opportunity to come and share, and really proud of what you've been able to do. Obviously, I've been so drawn to you for so many different reasons. But I feel like you know a lot of things before I even know, and there's just so many things that I remember from our readings and connecting, and your weird ass dream that you had. Well, yeah, some things have come to fruition. So it's real, and thank you for being, someone that my parents can channel through to come and talk to me. And yeah, I just think that there's enough room for all of us in this world to live however the fuck we want to live,
Exactly.
Be
What a
kind
beautiful.
and have a good heart, and abundance will come.
Exactly. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.